We're taking you to the place that has non-stop nightlife, warm oceans, and no state income tax. Check it out.
Hey friends, welcome back to Hot Markets. This week we're diving into Miami. So, we got a lot of money to invest today. What are we looking at? What are we looking to do here?
Yeah, so before we get into the nitty-gritty and details of the opportunity set within the greater Miami real estate market, let's just put it in perspective. According to Zillow, over the last 8 years, the top 8 of the top 11 cities for increase in rental rates are all in Florida, and you'll notice that 3 stand out. They're all over 40% increase. Fort Myers, the Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida area, and Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. So, lot of opportunity in rentals. So what do you guys think about Miami?
Well, I think Miami is definitely a hot market because we've seen over the last couple of years this huge population growth. We've seen an increase in construction, an increase in investing into Miami, especially Miami-Dade County. So you've got a lot of opportunities. I mean, when we look at Miami and we look at Miami as a whole, when you look at the entire municipality, you've got a huge investment into the construction of new buildings. You've got a huge investment into these high-end residential buildings that are going up. You've got a huge investment into single-family homes that are going in. But then we're also investing a ton into infrastructure. You're investing a ton into healthcare. So we're really investing into the city itself, which is bringing in more jobs, bringing in more people to the city. And that's something that we haven't seen historically, where downtown Miami has put so much money into building up. Because a lot of the money, a lot of the focus gets put just on South Beach. And I think it's really exciting to see really all of Miami-Dade County start to grow. And we're seeing, big developments coming in, big developments being proposed, amusement park centers, huge entertainment spaces. So a lot of money really going into Miami. And with that, we're going to see an exponential growth in the next couple of years. So 2021, it slowed down slightly. And it kind of leveled off in some of those areas, but infrastructure, healthcare, education, those areas are all still on the rise. And in 2023, we're going to start seeing more growth take place. It may be a point in the next couple of years where it might be too late. I think if you're going to get into Miami, you got to get in while it's hot. And right now, the market is hot. Yeah, I mean, exponentially, Miami has grown in population. It's grown in businesses, it's grown in money that's coming into the whole city. So it's on this up and up that I feel like if you don't get in now, it may be a point in the next couple of years where it might be too late.
There's financial firms moving in, there's technology firms moving in, the healthcare industry is booming. It's the financial gateway of Latin America. But I have a concern about how much the economy was hit.
There's no secrets to Miami. The biggest driver, other than illicit trade, is tourism dollars. So that's the biggest driver of the economy. During the pandemic, fortunately, Florida didn't shut down as hard as some other states, but there was still an expected, major downturn. They were thinking about a 50% reduction on it. Those numbers actually stabilized a lot lower than were projected and ended up being about 9% reduction or so. But now we're kind of back and roaring. Close out 2021, hotel and the hospitality industry was back. 2022 so far, we're currently kind of in that summer lull, but the spring was beautiful for it. And the fall is actually projected to be probably the best it's ever been down there.
And on that note too, Jarrell, when we look at the construction and what's happening in Miami, it did slow down a bit, but it didn't slow down the way that we saw in other parts of the country during COVID. There were places that literally halted all construction, all building, any new construction could not be built, where Miami still continued to grow. So they still were building new apartment buildings, new complexes, building new infrastructure, building new healthcare. They're putting a ton of money into education, ton of money into infrastructure, ton of money into healthcare, which means that they're following that population growth that's really coming into Miami, and they're building up the city around it. And that to me is really exciting, because more people that are coming in, more jobs that are coming in, the more money that's going to be really growing this whole city and this whole kind of southern part of Florida. It's not even just Miami, it's expanding outside of Miami-Dade County.
So, Allison, how much should we worry about that Fort Lauderdale condominium that collapsed a couple of years ago? A lot of Miami buildings are built that same time period. There is a lot of new buildings like that Aston Martin, those luxury condos, but there's a lot of older buildings too. Do we have to worry about that at all?
Florida is a really interesting spot because we build it very differently in Florida than we build anywhere around the rest of the country. In Florida, we kind of reverse the way that we build, and the codes are a little bit different because we have to account for hurricanes, we have to account for high winds, and you get corrosion from all of that salt water, right? So anywhere that you're building on a coastline, you're going to build a little bit more intentionally. And I think what we're seeing in a lot of these areas like Miami and some of these older buildings is a ton of money being put into restoration and renovation. That one building was unfortunately a catastrophe that a lot of people are putting a lot of energy in and trying to avoid. And some of that had to deal with the building maintenance. There was a lot of people aware that that building had major degradation, major failures, and water damage that was taking place, and structural damage that was taking place. It was very visible on that building, and there were remedies that could have been done before that building did collapse.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking right now, about 70 to 75% of the population in Miami are renters. So smaller townhomes, single family homes, we can definitely take advantage of that. But when I think Miami, I think that true luxury lifestyle. So I want to be on South Beach. I don't want to be commuting. I want to walk everywhere, be out partying in the clubs every night, going to the major sports teams, jumping on my yacht in the morning. So really I'm targeting those car collection buildings. It's the same as I think the Porsche is all right, the Bentley's better, and the Aston Martin's going to be on the top. So they're ranging right now. They're in pre-design and kind of construction, but they're ranging right now on that building. It's 4.7 gets you in all the way up to 50 million. So we want to be in that.
4.7 is the entry level.
That's the ground floor, probably 800 square feet. So we want to go right in that mid-tier somewhere.
Well, I saw those luxury condos. They have a swimming pool, like your own swimming pool.
And everyone, yeah.
And each unit has its own swimming pool. And even though you're on the 10th floor.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where obviously you got a high nightly dollar amount to it. You can catch a lot of people that are coming down for the cruise lines, or, the way domestic travel goes usually is people actually hit states. So you're going to, fly to Disneyland or fly to Miami for a couple days, hit Disneyland for a couple days, go down to the Keys for a day. So we can catch people on on that market, and then also on the cruise line market, we can catch them on their front end and their tail end of their cruises there. Average hotel prices right now in Miami are a little north of $300. So right about $300 to $310. So you can definitely rent Airbnbs around the community. Even if you did $250 a night and rented out 6 nights a week, you're still talking $1,500. That's $6,000 a year.
Right.
I mean, a month.
Yeah.
And
cruises started to come back again in full force. You got the 3 cruise companies there. So I just there's no end to people visiting.
Well, and when you think of short-term rentals and that investment, Miami is kind of the spot where people go for long weekends, right? So they go down on a Thursday, come back on a Sunday, go down on a Thursday, come back on a Monday. So they want those Airbnbs, and they go down with groups. So that's a perfect spot to really return some capital, is Miami. And then you also have the guys that go down for a month. They go down for a couple months. You got a lot of, sports people, in a lot of different industries that are going to spend a month in Miami, or 3 months in Miami, or just winter in Miami, or summer in Miami, wherever they're coming from. You got a lot of internationals. So you also have that 30 to 60 day, 90-day rental as well that you can really capitalize on too.
And Florida is a very, as far as tenant rights versus landlord rights, Florida is definitely in favor of the landlords. So, there's no cap on security deposits. There's actually, so many violations will actually trigger evictions. So you don't have to worry about squatters' rights or anything like that. There's a lot of upside to being a landlord in Miami.
Well, I was just had a slight concern about, so Miami's getting really expensive. I mean, it's still affordable versus like middle of San Francisco, maybe the middle of Manhattan, but it's getting expensive. And now these other cities are getting some spillover from people that might, want to be in Miami. They're vacationing in different places like Tampa, Sarasota. So is that a concern that, I know Miami's probably going to be Miami for a while, but are you worried about, Miami's kind of overdone, people are going to start going to other places?
I don't believe so, because as you kind of touched on a little bit there, we're alluding to, Miami's always been a cultural hotspot. Some people call it the gateway to Latin America. So there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of flavor to Miami. The nightlife, the restaurant scene's always going to be there. The Michelin Guide just came to Florida for the first time ever. So that expands that a little bit. Miami's definitely represented well on there. They actually have 12 of the restaurants that were picked for Florida, and the only 2-star restaurant. So you got a lot of world famous chefs down there. Jose Andres, Thomas Keller, Gilles Robuchon are all, building their empires down there, or continuing to expand their empires. So with the big names like that, the whole culinary scene is going to rise to the top down there. What are we looking for as far as investment properties go currently in Miami?
Think of short-term rentals and then investment. Miami is kind of the spot where people go for long weekends, right? So they go down on a Thursday, come back on a Sunday, go down on a Thursday, come back on a Monday. So they want those Airbnbs, and they go down with groups. So that's a perfect spot to really return some capital, is Miami. And then you also have the guys that go down for a month. They go down for a couple months. You got a lot of, sports people, in a lot of different industries that are going to spend a month in Miami, or 3 months in Miami, or just winter in Miami, or summer in Miami, wherever they're coming from. You got a lot of internationals. So you also have that 30 to 60 day, 90-day rental as well that you can really capitalize on too.
And Florida is a very, as far as tenant rights versus landlord rights, Florida is definitely in favor of the landlords. So, there's no cap on security deposits. There's actually, so many violations will actually trigger evictions. So you don't have to worry about squatters' rights or anything like that. There's a lot of upside to being a landlord in Miami.
I know Miami's probably going to be Miami for a while, but are you worried about, Miami's kind of overdone, people are going to start going to other places?
I don't believe so, because as you kind of touched on a little bit there, we're alluding to, Miami's always been a cultural hotspot. Some people call it the gateway to Latin America. So there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of flavor to Miami. The nightlife, the restaurant scene's always going to be there. The Michelin Guide just came to Florida for the first time ever. So that expands that a little bit. Miami's definitely represented well on there. They actually have 12 of the restaurants that were picked for Florida, and the only 2-star restaurant. So you got a lot of world famous chefs down there. Jose Andres, Thomas Keller, Gilles Robuchon are all, building their empires down there, or continuing to expand their empires. So with the big names like that, the whole culinary scene is going to rise.
And you got to remember, Miami is a very different vibe than the rest of Florida altogether. I mean, Miami is very different than downtown Tampa. Tampa's got more of a college vibe, a university vibe. Palm Beach is very different. That's more of your retirees, your private homes, your private beaches, your beach club resorts, where you have a little bit more exclusivity to it.
So Miami's a no-brainer for me. you know, it's definitely one of my favorite places in the world.
Okay, so I'm in. How many stars out of 5?
5.
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
That's a wrap.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, friends. See you next time.
We hope you enjoyed our show. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send us an email at info@spaliagroup.com, and please subscribe to our channel, like, share, and comment. That would be highly appreciated, and look forward to seeing you on the next show.